Oh, welcome to the next energy window, folks. This one is going to be dominated by Leo. We're in the Advanced Leadership Academy. I'm calling this the Great Humbling because we're not training people how to be bigger powerhouses and controlling more people. It's actually the leaders are going to get humbled and are going to learn how to lead with compassion and care. It's going to really be a beautiful thing, but there does have an application for all of us who may or may not be in leadership positions. For example, parents, managers, anybody else who deals with people or mentors. So this is for all of us. And at the end, we'll go through and simplify what to look for, the main waypoints along this way in this window. And this window, by the way, from July 22nd to August 5th, 2024. And then I'll give you some suggestions about what I think, how to best use this energy for you personally, for all of us, and different ideas. So in the grand scheme of things, this is our big picture. We are in this post the second of two Capricorn full moons. So just after that starts this window. And then we're going to have a Leo new moon right at the end of our window. And I know that sounds strange because the window itself, or it might get more strange as you see these charts, but the sun in Leo, and then we're ending it with a new moon in Leo. So you'll actually get a chance to use the skills you learn through this window for the next 30 days after the new moon. So you can set that at the new moon intentions. All right. So having been to an academy, you can already kind of sense what kind of flow we're going to have. We're going to have the entry, sun goes into Leo. This is where that brings out the king, the sovereign, the noble ruler. But then we're going to have the confronting of the shadows. So first of all, let's cover this sun going into Leo, and we get this noble ruler archetype that radiates charisma, courage, and confident self-expression. This is part of us. It yearns to shine, to be seen and celebrated for our unique brilliance and full potential. In addition to that, we have a very tight and nice, strong sextile over to Mars. And Mars is in Gemini. And this is only going to get a little bit tighter even. And this is a radiant and adaptable ruler who commands the kingdom of ideas with brilliance, bravery, and logic, crowned with the golden light of creative self-expression and armed with swift sword of intellect acuity. The king of charisma leads with knowledge, social competence, and inspired boldness. So, right at the onset, this is our first frame, July 22nd at 2:44 a.m., sun goes into Leo, making these alignments, and brings out on stage, all hail, the king of charisma. But this is the reckoning now, the sovereign's reckoning, the great humbling, the confronting of the shadows of power. Can you guess who? Yes, it is Pluto. So with the sun at 0 degrees Leo, immediately hits an opposition with Pluto. And so we get the king of charisma encounters his shadows of power, because Pluto represents the underworld, the hidden realms of the psyche where our deepest fears, obsessions, and unconscious motivations reside. And it's in Aquarius, so Pluto's transformative energy takes on the collective dimension, challenging us to confront how our personal power impacts the larger social matrix. And in this, we're forcing the leader within us and people who are of the leadership ilk to search deep and see how the power has been misused. And we're going to transition this during this opposition alignment. And this, let's see, By the end of July 2024, the alignment ends on the 31st, this opposition to Pluto. The sovereign will have learned to wield power not for personal enrichment, but for the upliftment and liberation for all. This gives birth to the enlightened leader. But the training continues because we have a lot of adjusting. First of all, we'll go from fixed to a mutable background, which you can see by July 26th, 2024. Mutable now outweighs the fixed. But more importantly, we have a lot of these tight alignments, and they're going exact pretty much at the same time. You've got Mercury in conjunct Pluto, and this is exact. They're at 0 degrees 47 minutes respectively. And we also have Venus in conjunct Saturn, only 2 minutes off. So they're going climax or perfected at pretty much the same time. Starting with Venus in conjunct Saturn gives rise to the humble monarch. It invites the king of charisma to be more of a soulful sovereign, one who learns to wield power and influence with compassion, integrity, and a deep sense of spiritual responsibility. This is the leader who understands that true authority springs not from ego or entitlement, but from a sincere desire to serve the greater good. The new commitment by this king is demonstrated by increasing capacity for mature, responsible pursuit of passions, not just gluttony and obsessed over power over others, but instead compassionate, purpose-driven leadership, inspiring and uplifting others through example. And then we have Mercury in conjunct Pluto, and in conjunct, remember, means that we're adapting to each other. Mercury is adapting to Pluto. Pluto is adapting to Mercury. And this ultimately gives rise to the mastermind of mental metamorphosis. That's this picture here. It's a brilliant strategist who engineers profound shifts in consciousness through the power of precise analysis and penetrating insight. By thinking several moves ahead of the game, the mastermind plots a course for humanity's mental liberation and enlightenment. Mind is now improving the king's clarity with heightened power of discernment and problem solving, ability to see through deception, and can diagnose systemic issues instead of just focusing on me, and give me more power. All right, now we have sort of our last big frame with Pluto, because if you notice here, it has every single flavor of alignment other than conjunct. It has an inconjunct, opposition, 2 trines, square, a sextile. And so it is transforming every one of these alignments towards liberty and individualism, bringing much more Aquarius to this transformation. And then we have a big alignment coming up is Venus square Uranus. And this one is the flamboyant rebel or the disruptive diva. So this is kind of getting a little on the wild side. The archetype combines bold, passionate self-expression and love with sudden revolutionary changes to shake things up with Uranus. It's a vibrant, unconventional energy that might cause values to change because Uranus is in Taurus. The benefits of this square is tensions towards the courage to stand out with authenticity, not be afraid of being judged for how you're expressing, creative self-expression that inspires others, i.e. leadership by example, honoring other people's uniqueness as well because of Uranus. Thank you for your uniqueness. And this square in particular, navigating this archetype, embrace your unique sparkle, but temper it with humility. It's the great humbling. All right. And then one of our last biggies that you saw earlier was new moon in Leo. And it does have some healthy amount of sextiles over to Mars and Jupiter, who are technically in a conjunction. basically just starting that conjunction in Gemini. And so we get at the new moon at 12 degrees, 34 minutes of Leo, we get the charismatic communicator, the inspiring leader, the enthusiastic adventurer. And this might be a picture of the archetype that supports a dynamic expression of communication and creative learning. The charismatic communicator captivates and inspires others through their unique ideas and radiant personal presence. Most people in this alignment will feel amplified creative self-confidence, magnetic leadership potential, enthusiastic, inspiring communication. And then, of course, we're at the new moon, so this is an ideal time to set intentions, to clarify your goals for leadership, creativity, bold conquest, and self-expression. What creative potentials are ready to bust out and be seen? Invest your energy in really what lights you up. A new 30 days of leadership refinement and improvement begins now. So basically, you've been through this academy. The leadership in you comes out, gets put on stage. Here he or she is. And now the great humbling. We have to face our shadows. And with all the inconjuncts and the adapting, the Venus square Uranus, we now have the tools and the lessons to try these out in the 30 days following the new moon. And as you can see here, once Venus leaves and the moon leaves, Venus will be first to leave Leo. Then it'll be just the sun left in Leo, and the whole background will change. The alignments will create a new energy window. But we do have this capstone, and this is basically the graduation. The graduation capstone event is when Venus goes into Virgo and conjunct with a station Mercury. He's about ready to go retrograde. And that'll be really the big part of the next energy window. But this is the capstone. And this is the same day as the new moon. New moon was earlier. And then at 9:22 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Venus will enter into Virgo, 0 degrees Virgo. So this is when you put all these alignments together, because you have basically the new moon still intact. You got Venus is now in Virgo, conjunct with Mercury. You have the inconjuncts over to Pluto. You've got these big massive squares over to Uranus. Mars and Jupiter are getting tighter. You put all of that together, this really does become the quintessential capstone event of this window with this picture, because it's the Renaissance ruler. The archetype combines the regal confidence of the Leo sun, the discerning analysis of Virgo, Mercury, and Venus, the probing depth of Pluto, the imaginative dissolution of Neptune, and the expansive curiosity of Gemini with Mars and Jupiter. It's like a wise ruler who understands the complexities of human nature and seeks to inspire their kingdom. The Renaissance ruler archetype has a noble presence, a keen mind, and a desire to lead others to new horizons. The Renaissance ruler harmonizes and relates to others via details and in the natural balance between task-oriented and people-oriented. Have you ever noticed that some leaders tend to be much more people-oriented and they tend to get less goals accomplished? When you have task-oriented people, they get goals accomplished, but they have a harder time getting the support of their people. And this is the finale that sort of incorporates those together, blends them together into a balanced leader. And you're going to hopefully see this archetypically around the world, because everyone falls under this energy. And then August 5th at 4:16, once the moon leaves Leo, the mutable earth dominates in the leadership school. The window ends. Switches to, and this is a question mark, but I think it's going to be something along the lines of the alchemist of the mind will be the next one. But here are the 5 key waypoints, things to consider in this Leadership Academy. First, on July 22nd, Sun enters Leo. The leader emerges back on stage. Here I am, king of charisma, getting the attention, but he's sort of drunk on power. And then almost immediately, these tests appear, and the king's going to face the shadows of power. This is the great humbling. That's going to last all the way through the rest of July, and then the adaptions will start. The process lasts especially on the first 4 days of the window, but most likely all the way through the end of July. That was the opposition to Pluto. As a result, the king becomes much more adaptable and assimilates deep lessons in conjunct alignments and mutable background that we talked about. And then once we hit August 2024, Venus square Uranus is climaxing harmony created by honoring each person's uniqueness and individuality, and it'll be a shearing force. It'll be a pressure to do so because it's a square. It'll be a pressure to honor. You're going to see people having to honor other people's uniqueness and individuality. Window ends just as the new moon in Leo begins. It will be a 30-day lunar cycle where we can test out the new insights from the very transformative energy window by weaving your leadership power lessons into your Leo lunar goals. That was a mouthful. So here's my suggestions. Watch collectively during this period as leaders subtly steer away from self-flattery, power over others, drunk on how much influence they have, and develop leadership mindsets that are much more genuine, empathetic, and balanced. This dynamic can also be found at the personal level. Look at your modes of power during this window. For example, parents. Use this window to reduce your power struggle with your kids. Whether they're little kids just developing or teens or even adults, reduce your power struggles. Reduce your power struggles with other people as well. But let's get back to the parents and more emotional attunement balanced with accountability, where they need both to be steered correctly. They don't want to just be emotionally attuned and then they get to do whatever they want. But they, don't want to be too strict and not ever emotionally attuned to them. So they need both. And that's why never mind. Pause. Just continue. Managers, execs, leaders everywhere will be energetically offered improvements and insights. Let's hope the majority accepts them. At the personal level, make sure you gather insights meant for your leadership and power dynamics. Finally, then directly apply said insights into your Leo new moon goals and intentions. And voila, we have ourselves a better world. But I suggest that we look intently at what leadership is doing in this time period. And I'm kind of looking forward to, as an Aquarian, the great humbling of our Leo leaders. What I think would be a very helpful thing, to be much more compassionate and genuine with their approach, but much more transparent. Didn't see anything in the alignments that might say more transparency, except for towards the end when Venus goes into Virgo, possibly. More straightforward. Of course, you do have the disclosure aspect with Aquarius. Pluto's in Aquarius, so that shadow might look at secrets of the leaders and it might expose them. So we have that to look forward to. Anyway, might be a really cool time, and I'm hoping we all enjoy it, and I hope you maximize this energy window. We will see you in energy window 13. See ya.